We're now at the 1 month stage for testing out the concept of growing some food with trash, basically in the plastic bags. Some really interesting results. The first month here had extreme weather. We had the first week during germination. It was in the 30s most of the evenings and cool and cloudy many of the days. We then went into temperatures that were over 90 degrees for several days in a row. Then we had hail that's about an inch in diameter, and then another day later we had about pea-sized hail falling. So we still have had most of the evenings coming down into the 40s. We even had a very hard frost that affected some of the plants. So the interesting results here that I'm looking at is really having to do with the difficulty I've had just growing anything straight in the soil. Now, I know that we can make it a little bit easier if we're really just trying to grow a garden in the dirt. My desire here was to put down the minimal amount of water for each of these different rows to be able to grow. Right now, I've had about 23 cups of water added in each and every one of these conditions here for the different vegetables down the row in the soil. And we have, for example, this first plant here that we're growing, the arugula, has had only 1.5 cups of water added since we started the plant, and that includes the rainfall. So in the two rows right in here in the middle, this is the row that has gravel in the bottom of the bag and no holes below it. So it's a sealed container. This row and the next row over that has holes in the bottom of the bag and a little bit of gravel below the bag to allow drainage outside. These two rows at this point are the winners. They've taken very similar in the amounts of water, much less water, and the plant growth across all of these is extremely good, some of the best, for using very little, almost no water since the beginning. We did have some problems in the hard frost with the corn that was unusual. The corn in each of the bags, for some reason, it affected the leaves worse. They were still only about 4 inches tall and were still inside the bag. For some reason, it burnt and hurt all of the leaves, but the leaf that was not in the bag showed no sign of any problems from the hard frost. For those frosts and those cool evenings, when I did have plants that were low, young, and germinating, I was able to cover off the bags and create a little miniature greenhouse. It kept almost all of these plants through the hard frost and through the very cold evenings. So you can look down into these plants and you can see how well they're doing. Now that they're grown a little bit more, I know that the roots are much deeper and there's still good moisture down there. So I am doing my best not to add any moisture to these plants once they get into this level of being 3 or 4 inches tall. So what I'm going to do now so that I can continue the experiment, there are numerous plants in the ground that struggled to germinate, that died in the hard frost. Perhaps they didn't get enough water, even though I've been adding about a cup of water a day as the soil conditions require it. I'm going to begin to transplant and spread out some of the plants that are growing well so that at least I can continue the growth study at this point and see how it goes from the 1 month point onward, the number of cups required and so forth. So I do have a radish that now at 1 month is just about ready for harvest. So we're going to continue on from here, and I'll show you a couple of these plants just so you can see in comparison from the row in the soil and what they're all looking like. You can see the difference between them. And the last row has been the most surprising. As I've looked at the last row, that is the row that simply has soil in it, some holes punched in the bottom, and it's sitting on soil. I wanted this one really to work well because it's the easiest. And in the third world conditions where I want to be able to take this, easy is better. But for these right here, the plant growth has been a little bit lower and it has taken a little bit more water. So it's not turning out to be the best condition, but maybe we'll find some more here. So that's it for the 1 month. I think I will go for maybe another month here just so we can see really what's going on without having to go into the minutia of day by day or week by week.